y'all already know what's happening. We're doing a Mario Kart 64 track ranking video. I'm not gonna be like, oh, the game's so amazing. Oh, the game's so great. Oh, these tracks are so unique. Y'all already heard that before. I'm just gonna go through the easy stuff and just get that out of the way and just get you straight to the ranking. As we all know, this is only my opinion, that stuff's obvious, so let's get started with number 16, huh? Weirdly enough, I think that a lot of people are going to agree with my take. Sherbet Land is boring as hell. First, it has ice. Terrible start. Secondly, it has two huge straightaways in it, making for some boring as hell gameplay half the time. Third, and this is a positive, it has murder penguins. These giant bastards want to end your life. I respect the hell out of it, and I think that they're easily the best part of this track. And they're really cool because they're penguins. But the issue just comes to the layout at the end of the day, and the gimmick just really not that good. Plus, every other track is just having better gimmicks and does not have giant straightaways constantly. So, yeah, Sherbet Land is easily number 16. Moo Moo Farm. So, we got one bad track out of the way. It's the only bad track in the game. Let's get to the first good one. But this is the worst of the good. Moo Moo Farms is a pretty good track. It's not bad by any means. There's a lot I like about it. To start, the track is short. That's a huge plus for me. I'm not a huge fan of overly long tracks. Secondly, the track being so short is a great plus for me because of where it's placed in the cups. It's the second track you play in the game, which means it's a great introduction course once again. Plus, the visuals are cool and they're very unique for its time. And to finish it off, it has killer Monty Moles. These are true monsters that are very random. They also make this track the hardest one to speedrun in Mario Kart 64 because of the randomness. But that's why Monty Moles are awesome. But overall, it's not a bad track by any means, it's actually very good. I just think that 14 through 1 are just better. LUIGIS Raceway. Even though this track is at number 14, I have a feeling that some people will consider this placement a bit high. It's a really good track. It's a great track to start off with. It has one straightaway and it's not as bad as I really thought it would be when I first played it. And it teaches you the mechanics well being the starting course. It's a really fun track. You have a great drifting session, or if you have mushrooms, a great shortcut session, and you have a tunnel that you go through halfway, and it makes it an actual little difficult point for newcomers. So it also has some great visuals, it's very fun, I love the tunnel, and the final turn can have some intense moments if you don't have mushrooms. So overall, I consider it to be a good track. Wario Stadium. Now this is where we get to my hot take. This track is all over the place in people's rankings. I consider this to be a good track. When I was a wee lad on my uncle's Nintendo 64, I thought this was the best track in the game. I adored it because of how big it was and how zany and crazy it was. There was a bunch of obstacles and twists that you can do, and overall it has a cool giant jump in the middle. It's not an easy course, it's going to keep you pretty entertained throughout most of the game, and it has a lot of good stuff going for it. But it's just so long! It takes years to get through it! I know how to skip half the track, and even then it still took me a really long time to finish it. I skipped half the track too! So it's a good track, but the length is the problem. If we cut that length in half, Wario Stadium would be my favorite track without a doubt. Took out some of the slow areas, just kept the good stuff, take out that ridiculous straightaway halfway through, and we're good. But for now, this is going to be number 13 on my list. Rainbow Road. Rainbow Road is even worse in the length area, but this track actually has a lot more going for it because of what it represents and what place in the cup it is. It's the last track in the game. It's also one of the hardest tracks in the game. But not only that, it's hard in a completely different way because there's complete guardrails, so you only can do well if you know how to drive. If you don't know how to drive, you suck, and you're not going to do well. Now, this is the last track in the game, so it has a good excuse to be stupidly long. And while it can be slow, I agree, and if you don't know how to do the shortcut, it is going to be very slow. But and even with me knowing how to do the shortcut, my time was still barely under 5 minutes. But it's overall a really satisfying race to finish off of if you know what you're doing, and it's a really great time. Plus the chain chomps are cool. Now, I know this is going to be a hot take. Even I'm still considering this a hot take. I've actually moved this on my rankings 4 times before I recorded this. And a lot of people are considering this track to be really good. The card gimmick, I agree, is genius. They did it extremely well. It's got the perfect amount of difficult and fun. But if you take that part out, it really is just a figure 8, but I think that's what makes it charming. It's not exactly the most exciting course, but I think a part of me just has that hatred of the Mario Kart 8 version that's probably bringing down its ranking right now. So overall, I consider it to be a bit overrated. It's pretty good. I consider a lot more tracks to be better. The gimmick's great, but overall, it's okay. It's okay. Definitely better than Rainbow Road though. So, Mario Raceway. I'd like to note something. At this point, we're in the B tier of my tracks, along with Toad Turnpike at the bottom of B tier. So, Mario Raceway, in my opinion, is very, very good. I'm probably actually overrating this track, at putting it at number 10. But I love this track so much. During the no-no years of 2020 and 2021, I actually speedran this course a decent amount. I never actually got any close to the world record, but I had a really great time doing it. The track actually has a lot of options for you. It has a great amount of twists and turns, and just enough amount of difficulty and stupid stuff to keep you going throughout the whole race. I also love that you can just cut half the course at the end. It's always a great time in my opinion. And I come back to this track surprisingly often. I would have put it higher, but I can't lie to myself. Even 10's pretty high. So I think this is a great track, and I'm not removing it. I refuse to do so. Yoshi Valley. Now this may be a weird take. I know some people who think this track is awful. Other people love this track. I am in the middle. I think it's really good. It's very creative, it has a bunch of alternating paths, each one do something completely different, have a whole new gimmick, and are mostly the same length, except for one. Do not go on the right path, just ignore it, you're gonna hate yourself. When going through this track and recording it, I actually found out that one of the 3 paths has a literal small bridge. This might be a bigger deal than it should be, for me at least, but I never knew this was here. I think that's awesome. Plus, the shortcut's really good. I love doing the shortcut even though how hard it is, and I can actually get it. And there's a giant Yoshi egg at the end. Who doesn't love that? So this track has a lot going for it, and this is also where the tracks are going to get really, really hard to rank, as 9 through 1, I love all of them with a burning passion. But yeah, Yoshi's Valley is number 9, I'm going to probably keep it there unless somehow another one gets worse in my opinion. The halfway point of our ranking, and Choco Mountain, I think, represents the halfway point perfectly. The track slaps hard, it's completely unique in its styling, and it looks pretty fun, honestly. I love the mist, I love the chocolate, and I love the track. I put this at 8 because this track has a lot of really fun twists and turns, and just the chocolate theme, I don't know why. I'm a sucker for chocolate themes. I love Choco Mountain in the SNES. But the fog is a great unique idea because it makes it to where some visibility is a bit harder, and in Grand Prix that could potentially keep you on your toes. Plus you get to go through an awesome tight turn that will have chocolate rocks flying at you. They're not threatening, but it's still pretty cool. Also the ending is really cool too, just having the bump, bump, bump at the end. I love that, I don't know why, but it's always my favorite part. It honestly is probably single-handedly carrying its ranking, just the triple bumps at the end. Oof, the last of B tier, in my opinion. I'd put this at the very, very top of B tier. I love this track. It's the only desert track theme besides Yoshi's Desert where I actually like it. This is a really, really fun track. It's a glorified circle, but for some strange reason that makes it really charming. It has an awesome train, it has great color shading, cactuses, and it's just really fun overall. The song slaps as well. You can even go on the train tracks. It's an overall really fun track that's always a blast song to play on. Oh yeah, watch out for the train. Banshee Boardwalk, my next hot take. This is another track that multiple people will twist and turn in their rankings. I think this track is awesome. I consider it to be the perfect preparation for the final race that you're going to be going into as Rainbow Road. This track provides a very unique theme, being the only ghost track and being the only track that probably creeped children out. It's a very eerie and dark environment. The only lighting is coming from lamps above, and it's just pitch black at the bottom. You can't really, it truly is just pitch black. It's also pretty damn hard for new people. You can fall off very easily, there's rarely ever guardrails, and the turns are tight. The turns are stupidly tight. And then you have to go through a creepy as hell house. Like, yeah, I love this track because it feels completely different from every other track in the game. And I just think that this track is just going to get better in my opinion as time goes on. It even has a giant Cheep Cheep to fly over you for no reason whatsoever. What's not to love? My hottest take. I have no doubts that this is my hottest take. A lot of people are putting this track at like 10 at best. And then I'm sitting here putting Frappe Snowland at 5. This is how you do a snow theme, people. This track slaps. It goes all in on the snow theme. This track is never short of exciting moments for me, having great turns and twists, plus awesome shortcut moments, and its only straightaway is filled with explosive snowmen. Like, what a way to have a good straightaway. So you always gotta stay on your toes no matter what. And then it has an awesome ice crevice you go through and a bridge you pass by from that river you jumped over earlier, and it just comes full circle in that way. And this track is just easily one of my favorites, and in my opinion, the most underrated track in the game. It's not an ice level, people, it's a snow level. So there's a difference. This makes Frappe Snowland the best Flower Cup track in the game. Now I know this one's a cold take. I know everyone loves DK Jungle Parkway. It's the only jungle-themed course in the game, and there's so much going for it. It starts off with a really great jump, and then sends you into a great, sprawling jungle, and then leads you to a very, very narrow drawbridge, which can make or break your race in GP or multiplayer. And then it finishes off with an awesome cave that you can hop on the side one to get some extra time, speedrunner strats for the win, and it's just a blast from start to finish. It's not exactly the most difficult track, it's because it only requires, good driving. If you don't have good driving, you're going to struggle your ass off on this track. And I just consider it to be a really, really fun one. It has the perfect length to be a track, and it's one of the best cups in the game, easily being the best special cup in the game as well. Royal Raceway. This track slaps so hard. There is so much I could say about this, but for some strange reason that feels wrong. The track is pretty difficult, weirdly enough, especially the beginning. The track has some fun straightaways with the boost panels and a great jump, and an excellent finish with some great twists and turns, and then you can just go drive on Peach's castle. I've always loved this track because it has a perfect mix of difficulty and fun. This track without a doubt deserves to be praised, and 100% is the best Star Cup track. Or actually, it's not the best Star Cup track, I forgot about one. You guys thought I was gonna do Bowser's Castle, weren't you? Nah! Koopa Troopa Beach is at number 2. This track is amazing, and I'm gonna have to explain why. Now, Koopa Troopa Beach is one of the best Mario Kart tracks of all time, and way ahead of its time, for one reason. The options the track gives you. Consistently, it gives you multiple options for what you want to drive through. In the beginning, when you're at the Koopa Troopa statue, you can either go left, which is the faster but harder path, or right, the easier, safer, but slower path. And then when you get to the second section at the halfway point of the track, now you have 3 options you can take. You can take the normal option, which is just drive on the straightaway and then turn right when you get towards the cave. You could go into the boost panel, or I guess the jump panel, or whatever you want to call it, which will take you into a cave, which will skip a large portion of the track. But if you screw it up, you're going to get hard punished for it. Or you could take the secret water pathway. It will only be decently fast if you get the right tide timing. But it's much faster than the normal path, and it's much safer. And that's just so great to me. There's so much you can do, and there's so many great options, and this track was just so good. And then you get more options at the end, where you can go through the palm tree route, above the rock, or go to the right. Again, one that's difficult, one that has specific timing, and then a safer but slower one. It's all you want, it's all you need. And just the amount of freedom the track gives you, and making you just do what you want to do, just makes this track a masterpiece, and so ahead of its time. I consider it to be one of the best Mario Kart tracks ever. Only surpassed by Bowser's Castle. Oh, baby! This track slaps. The best track in the game. I love it. This track keeps you on your toes the entire time and turns up the heat. This track is at the end of the Star Cup, and it's like the developer said, You've seen our other tracks. These ones, baby tracks. This is where it gets real. And it gets real. This track is very hard. I consider it to be the second most difficult track in the game. This track starts you off with a cool garden section, then thrusts you right into a thwomp-infested castle. You have really tight 90-degree corners you have to go through, and if you screw up, you're hitting the wall, and you're getting slowed down. Or you may just get hit by thwomps of death. Also terrifying. There's 2 thwomps that actually love really chasing you, and it's super annoying, and you gotta adjust appropriately. And then you gotta go through more twists and turns, then you go back into the awesome garden, and then go past a lava bridge, which is awesome, and up a spiral, which is weirdly difficult to do optimally. You finish it off by taking some awesome jumps down the roof, and then bam, you're right back in the castle and doing it again. Ugh! There is not a single boring moment in that track. Every moment is keeping you on your toes and keeping you engaged. It's so good. It takes the cake in what you want to get in a Mario Kart 64 track. and without a doubt is the best track in the game and one of the best Mario Kart tracks of all time. But yeah, that's my list. Thank you everybody for watching. If you liked it, like and subscribe. See ya.